Hi, I'm Melissa at last, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my garden, Rose Ether Cherubim. So we've been talking, about a few life skill, mindset building things, a little bit of tough love conversations and getting things out in the air, giving those old wounds some air so they can heal and we can begin to move anew. But today, we are talking about speaking with authority. And the corresponding verse is Matthew chapter 7, verse 29. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. For he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. So all of chapter 7, for the most part, except verses 28 and 29, are all red words. So Christ stepping into these synagogues and telling them what the Father has instilled in his heart, what God has been telling him, what God has been revealing to him. Now, the other scribes and other people who do step on the pulpit, they were speaking more of the laws of Moses, what you need to abide by, how you need to act according to the laws of Moses. And Christ wasn't doing that. Christ was bringing a new doctrine. Christ was bringing the new word. Christ was the word made flesh. So he was moving as such. And that's what you do when you speak with authority. We moved away from I think and maybe and all those things to this is what it is. This is what I represent. This is who I am. And this is my purpose because it's rooted in God and I know it's for sure. So when you're moving and you're talking, you're not talking out of arrogance. You're talking out of confidence. You're talking out of clarity. And you're talking out of that conviction that God has placed in you. And if there's ever a time where you begin to feel unsteady in your conviction, in your clarity, in your confidence, you know that it's time to return to God and ask what's going on or what am I facing? And if what I am facing, am I more fearful of that than I'm fearing the Lord? And God, please correct that within me. So many people lack conviction oftentimes because it's not something where they want to make a mistake. They don't want to be viewed a certain way. They're moving out of their concrete mindset of what God has given them, what God has told them, what they've learned in meditation and in the Word, and how they're making their lifestyle a manifestation of that. And they begin to worry again about how they're going to be received. So when they have a little bit of fear of anything outside of God, that's when the lack of conviction begins to happen. And there are often times that people are not confrontational and don't want to be confrontational. So when they meet confrontation, they shrink back a little bit. And this is where we have to stand firm in our beliefs. Do we match the energy of the confrontation? No. Do we match, the anger and the spite and the things that we encounter and are going to encounter in the world? No. We stay in our peace. And our peace and our love is the conviction that you stand in when you are dealing and you are speaking with people. And you may speak with people who will respect that about you. And you may speak with people who view that as a weakness. And that's okay. They're entitled to their views. They're entitled to their opinions. But you move how God directs you to move in those moments. And if you ever feel a shift or you ever wonder, you just connect back with God in those moments. And how do you need me to move? How do you need me to be a proper representation? And God is going to have you move in a way that builds your reputation and not tear it down. So belief definitely affects delivery. When you're a baby in the faith and you're unsure and you're still questioning things, your language is going to represent that. But when you know and you have those experiences with God that are undeniable to you, to your soul, to your spirit, you're like, no, this is what it is. And it doesn't matter what you say or how you come at me, my belief in God is there and it's firm. And I hope that one day you you heal that relationship with God and you have that with him as well. Or you are sure in what you're saying and people begin to feel secure around you because you are sure. They can tell that your experience is there based on your words, based on your tone, and definitely based on the way that you're phrasing things. Because if you're moving in the Spirit of God and the Holy Spirit, God's going to give you particular words, particular sayings, and particular examples so that you can reach the people that he wants you to reach. And the scripture applies today and is going to continue to apply because Christ is our ultimate example. The way Christ moved and the way Christ did not care and the way that Christ checked people. He did everything from healing people, loving people, giving them comfort, to flipping over tables and, pointing that finger and letting them know what they are and how they're offensive to God. Christ was so multifaceted in that way. And he never wavered in his belief that he was the Son of God. God told him, God showed him, and he moved in that absolute faith that we should aspire to have and we should aspire to move like. Throughout my life, I spoke without confidence. I was very like, or well, or maybe, because again, I was in the past a people pleaser. But growing up the way that I grew up, it was sort of like you would get more by being that way, by being overtly polite, by remembering your manners. You might get run over a lot, but also people tend to treat you a little bit better versus if you were, very rude, or honestly, if speaking with authority made you come off as rude. So a lot of my life, I was like, well, let me back down. Let me not, say what I really want to say. And it affected me a lot. A lot of times people would take or repeat what I said, and then they would get what they wanted, because I was saying it kind of low or, in a way like under my breath, because as you get older, you stop wanting to hold back your voice as much. You become irritated with doing so. And then it moved to times where I would explode in anger, and now I'm cussing or now I'm crying because I'm so fucking pissed off. Now I'm getting in trouble because I didn't speak with authority and I didn't stand up for myself in a way. And now it bubbled over to an uncontrollable point. And again, I was dating somebody, and this is something that I kind of noticed. I would say a joke, but kind of loud enough for only like the people to hear around me and the person that I was dating. And then that person would take my same joke word for word and repeat it out loud to the table. Like he had a voice that would carry. He was a loud person, and everybody would laugh and die laughing. And he would do this to me constantly. And I just remember always feeling like if I would have said it louder, it's my fault. It's not the person's fault that I was with at the time. It's my fault for not having the belief in myself and just letting it out. And if people laughed, great. And if people didn't, oh well. Like it was still funny to me. So there was a lot of times where opportunities were missed for me to grow in certain ways, to let my personality shine, because I didn't speak with authority. But I thought it was wrong to. I thought it was infeminine or rude or like too out there wanting attention. And those were mindsets that I had to outgrow so that I can live in my authority and know that authority has to do with like respecting yourself, who you are, and then projecting that respect out into the world. And I had a mindset that was just not cohesive with what authority truly is. So it took me a long time to be more confident and be able to speak things the way that I want to speak things and not care if the joke landed or if what I said was too rude or too upsetting or off-putting, to move in a way where it didn't matter if I was perceived as masculine or feminine. It doesn't matter how I was perceived. Honestly, that really did not happen until after I had my youngest child, and I understood that I needed to be his voice and an advocate for him. So I can't shy down in any situation. And if there's ways where I feel that he's not being treated correctly, I have to speak up. I have to say something, because his voice is still developing. And if I don't speak up and stand up for him, nobody will. And that opens up a realm of things that I don't want him to experience. Like all children who need, advocacy. They need that. If they don't get it, then it runs the risk of them getting hurt or them getting abused or their needs not getting met. So it became a point in my life where, like, I have to, and it doesn't matter who loves me or hates me. At the end of it, I need to speak with authority, and I need to not only be able to advocate for myself, but be able to advocate for, the individuals who rely on me, who need me, and speak up, to these different doctors, to these different techs, these different therapists, and show my son how to do that through my actions, through him seeing me speak up for myself. So that's what began to change, and I began to establish a lot of boundaries and garner the respect that's owed to me. And honestly, if it wasn't for God's blessing and God's way of really breaking down that barrier of mindset and the way that I would still be acting some of the same ways in which I was thought to was the right way, and the way that I was brought up. That's the way that you conduct yourself, and it's not. You have to speak with authority. You have to speak with confidence. You have to advocate for yourself and your needs, and God will show you that. If you have a problem with doing that, God's going to show you that. God's going to put you in situations where that has to happen, where you've had enough, and where you had enough of losing opportunities or not being seen for who you truly are, or being looked over because you didn't want to advocate for yourself because you were afraid or you were concerned or you didn't know how to do it yet. And He's going to teach you. He's going to teach you, and He's going to make sure that you use that in application. It's not only going to be in theory, it's going to be in application too. You're going to be, you're going to be put in the field, and you're going to use it, and you're going to use it well. So you continue to speak with authority daily. And again, remember, authority is not a false sense of confidence. It's not acting tough. It's not acting as someone you are not. It is showcasing your personality. It is showcasing your relationship that you had with God, and standing firm in your faith of what God has spoken to you, of what God has shown you to be true. And you're going to go through a multitude of things and meet a lot of different people who will either support that, push against it, question it, and you're going to learn how to move through all of those situations. God is guiding you. So a lot of things you have to stop doing is putting out a projection of how you want people to perceive you. People are going to perceive you how they perceive you. The right people will perceive you correctly. The wrong people who should not be around you will project back onto you. So don't push out this toughness. Don't push out anything that you are not truly. A lot of our survival instincts and our survival tactics, we project them to protect ourselves. And we gotta remove that. We gotta let that truly be and understand that God protects us. So we're okay. Do we need to eliminate any ways that have to do with our safety? No. But a lot of our survival instincts that we've learned from childhood, we don't truly need to carry them on into this phase of our life, especially as we're moving as a leader who does speak in authority. And another good practice that you should start doing is speak that first still thought that's on your mind. Go with the first option that pops into your head and stop questioning yourself, because you're going to find that that first option, that first thought is the right one. And once you start taking care of that first thought and treating it as important and special and not something to be pulled apart and questioned and compared to other things, you're going to find that now you're moving and leading in the spirit. And that's where your conviction is going to come, because it's like your connection and what God is sending you is instant. It's instant from here and out. And people are going to be able to recognize that within your spirit. But if you're sitting back and you're questioning and you're like, God, is it this? God, is it that? You're not securing and taking care of that flame that God is putting in you, that connection. There's a lack of trust there. You need a 5-second lag or delay, but you don't need that. There is no lag, there is no delay. So to stop questioning yourself is going to be a super important thing. Saying the first thing that's on your mind, and saying it with conviction, with authority, and with a sense of projection that is going to ripple out into the world and come back to you. And then no one is stealing your ideas or stealing your jokes and presenting them like it's theirs, and getting the laughter, getting the energy back from it, because they just spoke a little louder than what you were speaking. It's not going to happen for you, because you're using that projection to truly project who you are out into the world. So if anybody tries to take what it is that you're saying and make it look like it's theirs, they're going to know that you're the original. And that's what happens when you speak with authority. Your originality shines out into the world. We're truly not meant to be replicas or copies of other people. We're meant for our own individual energy to shine and that's the way that God intended. And that's why God gives you the message, the type of delivery that He gives you specifically. So you continue to speak that way, and you continue to project that out again, not in arrogance, but confidence, clarity, and conviction. Do not hesitate, all right? Because what God is giving you is gold. It's mental, beautiful messages of gold. And it was given to you specifically to put out into the world. So you take that responsibility super seriously, and you move with confidence, and you move with that conviction, and you understand this is the belief of who I am. And I know that the message that I'm receiving and the way that I'm moving and what I'm feeling, that's God. And my belief in God is going to be what I project back out into the world. Because the world needs it. The world truly, truly needs it. So we're going to keep it short and sweet, because honestly, that's the meat and potatoes of it. That's speaking with authority. You're not adding all these extra things in that are not necessary. You're getting to the message, and you're building everything that you're building, and everything that you're saying applies to the message. You're the message, my friend. You're the messenger, and you got that gold within you. You got to let it out. All right. God has given you great things to speak on, and you're going to do it, and you're going to do it with conviction, and you're going to do it with authority, and you're going to do it greatly. I believe in you, friend, but more importantly, God believes in you, and I love you, and most importantly, God loves you even more. So we're going to talk next time. I'll see you soon. Bye.